It's just like capitalism has put us all in a situation where we're fucking not just stacking ourselves on top of each other, we're all like moving in with strangers. And it's just like, or you move in with friends and then you realize, damn, I love this person, but I didn't want to have to give a fuck about how they do X, Y, or Z thing that is completely unessential and unimportant to the actual relationship, right? I'm just going to level with everybody. Like, this moving situation and the fact that I have to fucking move has, like, kind of shook me. And I'm, like, not all there. It's like, we can't talk to each other like we're equals if you're acting like a fucking landlord. And treating me as though I'm just a renter. And even if you were, then you would have to give me a month's notice. Like, that's just basic dignity at this point. Basic. Normies agree that this is basic dignity. Forever, and we can talk about anything, and we have been. We've been talking about music, we've been talking about touching, barely, but touching on the drama from yesterday, you know. This is I guess I just want to go through my rant really quick, and I just won't do it with Illustrator because Illustrator has been hijacking my entire everything. By the way, thank you LX Tab for the follow, mucho gracias. 378 followers. That's pretty neat. I don't know on a scale of, I don't know how good that is, but like for how long I've been streaming, like, or within this short of a time frame, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it feels good. Feels good. Thank you. Punk Sai. LOL, I've been called a capitalist because I argue money is a useful tool that will still exist post-capitalism and can, in a socialist system, be a freeing and empowering thing. Oh my god, Punk Sai. You fucking Nazi. Get out of here with that. I'm just kidding. Seriously though, that's what happens. That's what happens. Because people, their perceptual, comprehensive, like, frameworks and categories for understanding, like we've been talking about right here, the filters, if they're so simplistic that they break everything up into either or, you're either one of us or you're one of them. You're either good or you're bad, right? If it's so simplistic, then yeah, a person is not really able to think about, well, the important stuff, are they? Let's just say that none of us has the right filters, the right concepts, but we can have more concepts. We can have, for instance, and my favorite example, because most people here are at least familiar with it, in this example that we're using, where this person comes to the table with a very limited understanding of left versus right, it's like, oh, you didn't know that there's like another dimension to the political compass, did you? This is what I mean by a filter, a framework, conceptual categories, ways of breaking it all up so that you're not able to think about Hitler in the two-dimensional political compass. You're just thinking about it as a mere left versus right, and therefore it's big versus small government, which is very, 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 very U.S. American. Very U.S. American. Very, very recent. Very recent. There are a lot of think tanks, propaganda think tanks, who are paid for by billionaires, who feed, like, hey, these talking points kind of import and feed these certain ways of thinking about things, and let's encourage that. Let's use these talking points, and you know, it's in the same way that Alec writes law for all of these right wingers and a lot of Democrats. You have think tanks that are coming up with talking points that frame things in certain ways. And then what can happen is, because those talking points are usually dealing with a kernel of truth, people who are highly sensitive and reactive to anything that might look like a right-wing talking point They think if you acknowledge the basic kernel of truth and then try to reappropriate and change the frame in a way that benefits the left, they're like, no, we just need to denounce it wholly. And it's like, and then you get something like Punk Side being called a conservative just because money might be good in the future. But that's also what happens when people think that capital and money are the same thing. I've had the same issue with markets. It's like, there's nothing inherently wrong about markets that I can come up with. There's nothing inherently wrong about markets. There's something fundamentally wrong about markets in a capitalist society. There's something wrong with markets in basically every version of every society we've had. But I don't know what the future looks like, and there's probably ways that we could manage these things. I don't know. Does that make me a sockdem? I don't think it does. I think you could have communism and you could have fucking markets. I don't know. Oh, why is there all these new people here? Well, welcome everybody. Theorypleeb, Theory, they, them, YouTuber, deplatformed from YouTube, yeeted onto the Twitchosphere. Happy to be here with you all. We're talking some basic media, critical media theory. I keep getting derailed from my rant because I don't think I'm going to be able to do it the way I wanted to do it today. I kind of thought that I had everything set up, and then I realized technologically I am constrained in some ways, and so I'm not able to wave my hands at, well, I have a whole bunch of slides that I thought I'd be able to use, and I'm not going to fucking track down all the image sources right now. So instead, we're kind of just hanging out and talking. Universal low flat tax that progressively gets lower, forcing a democratically elected government to slowly deregulate itself out of existence. I like the sound of that. Punkside is working on a YouTube video called Money, Markets, and Marxism. Punkside, can you link your YouTube channel, please? Tardy Toes, moving his balls. Hold on. Let's just do this. Let's just do this. Moving fucking sucks. And I don't think I want to live in a world where I have to. Now, I don't get to choose, so it's not really up to me. But like, I have had a lot of roommates in my life. A lot. Like probably 50. I don't know. It's a lot. And it's like, I had good ones. I've had bad ones. At the end of the day, it requires a certain amount of patience and tolerance to live with other people, because everybody has their excesses, their own blind spots. It's okay. You know, if people, that's fine. But we shouldn't have to fucking live in spaces with other people. Like, this is so inhumane to me. The idea that we should have to live with other people. Like, yeah, I get it. Some people here in the chat probably want to live in a commune. Cool. I hope you're fighting for a future where I don't have to live in a commune, if that means other people walking in and telling me that I should or should not be louder or quieter. Like, I want to have silence and space so I can focus, so I can hear myself think, so that I can work on my projects uninterrupted. Like, I shouldn't have to get a full-time job just to do that. Like, because then the full-time job is getting in the way of doing the things that I needed to be able to be doing in the first place. Right? So Deuce had this argument with someone in high school and said he had a really hardline view of what people's fundamental needs are. Tardy Toes, I'm terrible to live with. Best suited for a feline overlord. I think, like, here's why I don't like living with other people. I shouldn't have to, like, wonder if, like, what I'm doing is pissing other people off when I'm like at the end of my day trying to just chill, and then you're acting weird. I shouldn't have to be like, what's going on here? Hey, how are you doing? Is everything all right? Yeah. And then it's just like, fuck. Is this because I fart too much? Is this because I left the toilet fucking lit up? Is this because, like, I didn't wash that one bowl, but, like, I'm totally gonna do it within the next half hour anyway, so chill? Like, it's just like, capitalism has put us all in a situation where we're fucking not just stacking ourselves on top of each other, we're all, like, moving in with strangers. And it's just like, or you move in with friends, and then you realize, damn, I love this person, but I didn't want to have to give a fuck about how they do X, Y, or Z thing that is completely unessential and unimportant to the actual relationship, right? Punk side, I just want to be able to walk around the house with no pants on. Yeah, and a person might even say, yo, walk around the house without pants on. We're totally fine with it. But then after you start doing it, they realize they're not really. But then they don't want to say that. Just like those kind of things. People want something, they don't really know. They kind of feel divided, and they change their mind, but they don't want to say it, or they do say it, or they're holding back from saying it, and they hold back from saying it for months, and they finally like scream at you because they've been thinking it the whole time, and they weren't just like learning how to communicate. But really, do we have to be learning how to communicate with strangers in our own houses? Like, can't we just get away from people sometimes? I will do a whole stream on housing insecurity eventually, but this is just how I feel right now, because like I'm on this like look, I'm probably okay right now. I think I've got some backup plans. I'm looking to make sure I have like some decent backup plans. But I shouldn't have to feel like my future is so up in the air constantly. Like, this is why there's like a 30-day eviction thing if you actually sign a real lease, is because it's inhumane to kick somebody out with shorter notice than that. But people in these situations, like the power tripping people who, you know, it's kind of their space. So you kind of understand, but it's like, I just think people don't understand the importance of this. Yeah. The importance of a person's need to feel safe, secure, have any kind of privacy.
Free the lead.
Super, super annoying. Honestly, it makes me feel like I live in a trap. Like, this whole planet is just a trap. And it's like, yeah, we already touched on this. Like, yeah, we're all here. We're all going to die. So it's a kind of trap in that sense. But also just like, I can't get away from people. I can't get away from people unless I want to trade a third of my life to work for somebody who's going to be a fucking asshole. And in doing so, not allow me to do the things that make life worth living. Like theory. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of derailed me. This technology issue kind of derailed me. I'm going to give it my first real go, though. Language represents reality. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes it does a bad job. It approximates reality. It tries to get closer to reality. Some language is pure fantasy. We can talk about unicorns. It's pure fantasy. If they ever actually existed, then there's other obvious examples your brain could pull up, I'm sure, of pure fantasy. Harry Potter, right? Now, most of the time, though, when we're using words, we're representing reality. What is presence? Presence is What is present to your consciousness, right? What is present to your awareness, right? To your comprehension. You comprehend what is present. Language represents that which is not present. Okay? So, if I say, theorypleeb's original YouTube account, I just made something present in this conversation between us that wasn't here a second ago. Now we're all thinking about it. Maybe you have seen some of my old videos. Maybe you haven't. But if I said the orange Cheeto, now everyone's like, oh, Trump, right? Language makes present to us that which was not already present. Representation is the thing that language tends to be doing. You could go your entire life without seeing a hurricane, without experiencing any kind of like brutal act of nature. You could also go your whole life, and at one point, something that's statistically irregular, like a hurricane, actually happens to you. It's devastating. Fucks you up. Takes away your house. Leaves you homeless. Or you have to move. Media, like writing or television, those forms of representation, they present something to you. What are they trying to make you aware of? What are they trying to make you comprehend? Why are they trying to make you comprehend what they're trying to make you comprehend? Who's they in this case? Well, it kind of depends on who's writing the letter and why they think that they're writing the letter, and then why they're actually writing the letter. And are those all the same thing? We don't know. Those are the kinds of questions that come to mind for me when I'm thinking about critical media theory. But beyond presence and represencing, so in my immediacy, no hurricane, no drama. It's just me chilling. Language, through different mediums, makes present to me. Thank you for hosting me, Yeti. Makes present to me hurricanes that I would have never experienced otherwise. Now, in a sort of sense, this is great. Obviously, that's a good thing, I would think. But how we think of ourselves in the world and how we think of others in the world comes from our habits of representation. If every time somebody says we need to do something that would require more government, and your interpretive apparatus thinks in terms of only red versus blue, left versus right, there's a way that you're used to presenting, of representing whatever's being brought to you through those mediums. Something that, I don't know. When I read Derrida, like, he doesn't talk too much about this. To me, this is a little bit more Heideggerian. But whatever is being made present, there is a lot that can't be made present when something's being made present. You can't focus on everything at once. You can only focus on one thing at a time, or a few things at a time, right? You're not able to focus on everything in the world, okay? So when something's being made present, what's being made absent? Now, there's purposeful manipulation, purposeful burying of certain facts, certain purposeful like manipulations of frames, rhetoric and persuasion for especially highly politicized subjects. There's a lot of that going on. But there's also just like what's absent from the conversation in the terms of like, we just don't think about these things, right? Let's talk about presence and representation in terms of gender or race or ability. The list goes on. If our models of reality and of what it is to be human and experience the world are always able-bodied, able-minded, cis, het, white, you know what I mean? Are you following? Then your ways of understanding what's intelligible to you, right down here, intelligibility. What is intelligible, meaning what is sensible, when you say, oh, that makes sense, comes down to habits of representation. And things that you're not used to, that just don't make any sense to you, fall outside of what's been established by these habits of representation. So what's made absent by a media ecology that is by and for cis, het, white, etc. While everything that's not that becomes less and less intelligible, doesn't make as much sense, is a little bit more work for your empathy, right? Because you don't know. You don't know. And to learn would require time, energy, and attention and resources that maybe it's a learning curve that you just feel intimidated by, or maybe this isn't even conscious. You're not super aware of it. At a deeper level, though, you just feel impatient. You just feel intolerant. You don't know why, right? Obviously not you. Everybody in this audience is obviously super woke. Clearly. Welcome, Kenneth. You're what, Worf again? What are you talking about? Thank you, Do Snaps. That's also true. The last part of what I want to talk about in terms of these words, presence, representation, absence, media, mediation, intelligibility, is that other line right here. Subjectivity, identification, totalization. What is subjectivity? What is identification? What is totalization? It's a lot of big words, multi-syllable words. They're fucking, do we really need them? Well, kind of. We kind of need these words, but we also don't really need these words. We could kind of like use our own words to be stand-ins. Now, that might be frustrating for people who are used to thinking about these things in certain ways. But we could also just call subjectivity, in your common parlance, it's fucking ego. Ego, sense of self, place in the world, in-group. What does that mean? Why would I throw in-group in there? Well, especially because we're talking about this stuff in terms of like politics. But in general, people have a sense of themselves and of their place in the world that is propped up by identifications that have been made along the way. I really look forward to bringing the Dangerous Maybe on here and doing a deeper dive on all of these ideas. This is just like I said, 101. So, the ego. Yeah, good night, Adam. The ego. Your sense of self. Not just your sense of like, oh, self-esteem, your sense of worth. You know, do you feel valued in the world? Do you feel confident? You know, these are all important things too. Do you feel like you know where you're going in life? Do you know what you want to do with your life? Like, those are all important and stuff like that. But at a deeper level, you make these identifications with the stuff that's picked out from the world, that's fed to us through writing, through television, and through every other medium. In a sort of sense, and I get into this in my Big Mood essay, which is available on my Facebook page, but not my YouTube yet, because I need to republish it, I guess. At a very simple level, when you're looking at the world, you're always going, ah, me, ah, big mood, ah, I feel that, Ah, I feel that. Uh-huh. Oh, but that's some bullshit. I feel threatened by that. And the fact is, a lot of times, there are things that you will perceive that are straight out threatening to your identity. But your sense of place in the world doesn't just come from you versus the world, because you have fundamental primary identifications with other people, not just other people, but with groups. And so groupthink and your sense of self and your identification in a group, these things are all functioning to feed you a sense of self, a sense of security, and a sense of superiority a lot of the time. This is one of the big ways that hierarchies arise within ourselves, right? Oh, look at you talking and talking to a microphone in front of a camera with people watching you. You must think that you're very important. You must think that you're, you know what I mean? Like anything that you do, anything that you want to be, you want to have like a high aptitude for, I guess, not just aptitude, a reputation for. What does it say about you? What does it offer a group? What kind of meaning does that give you? These are kind of where I'm coming from when I'm talking about subjectivity and identification. Our media cultivates our identities, to talk about it the way Coffin talks about it, which is really just kind of an expansion pack internet version of what Guy Debord was already talking about. That Baudrillard and Badiou were talking. Badiou. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name. It's what they were talking about. So one thing that Kenneth was saying about queer privacy, though, is because he's been impacted by a person who does queer privacy online stuff. So anyway, like, that's something to look into. I'm just going to level with everybody. Like, this moving situation and the fact that I have to fucking move has, like, kind of shook me. And I'm, like, not all there. And I'm kind of just, it's just fucking me up. Because, like, I have like this ticking time bomb. It feels like it pushes down on my shoulders. It's called my student debt. I got, they wanted me to start paying like already, but I was able to do some paperwork that deferred, beginning to pay that back till July, which means that I have that much time to focus on building something up so that when I have to start working, I'll have this thing, this theorypleeb thing already kind of built. The skills, the basic, fundamental videos, essays, etc. will all be in place. The goal of the year before I have to start paying that stuff back was to build to a point where I'd have a curriculum that I'd be able to take and teach anywhere I travel in the world that would be kind of talking about the kind of stuff that this was supposed to be about, this stream. But instead, I've spent most of the time in the last few months having to worry about where I'm going and what I'm doing at the basic level of necessity. And my rage, my fucking hurt, my trauma, all of these things are being triggered by having basically promises made and then broken by people who say that they are trying to help. Maslow was right, Ken, in a sort of sense. You really can't focus on things if you're fundamentally shook day to day. You can't focus on the more human things. Like, yeah, there's all sorts of ways that we can complicate the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All right, let's pull it up. All right. A lot of people have seen this, but some people have never seen it. For the people who've never seen it, it's going to... Whoa, that's cool. For the people who've seen it before, it's boring. And it's already problematic because there's all sorts of ways of complicating the issues. But let's just talk about it for a second. At the bottom, you have physiological needs: air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction. Safety needs are the next ones. Then there's love and belonging. Then there's esteem. And then there's self-actualization. And the idea is like if you don't have one of the lower ones, you can't really focus on the higher ones. Love and belonging, for instance. A lot of friendship and intimacy kind of assumes a sort of equality, right? There's a sort of equality. You're provided for, I'm provided for. Now we can focus on doing things together. We can both respect one another as equals because we both have our own basis in the world. We both have our physiological and safety needs taken care of. Now we can focus on building relationships. But if you don't have the safety and physiological needs in place, then all of your friend and all of your relationships, in my experience, are tinged in a sort of way where it's like, yeah. When I'm having a conversation with someone who wants to kick me out of their house, for instance, I'm thinking back to a previous instance. This is not what's going on right now. This is just a previous instance. And that person is like saying that they feel disrespected by my tone of voice because there's an edge in my voice when I'm talking about the fact that they're not being fair. It's like there are two different versions of respect going on. This person is using their power in that dynamic to sway, to hold sway, to strong arm me. And it's just like, it's like we can't talk to each other like we're equals if you're acting like a fucking landlord and treating me as though I'm just a renter. And even if you were, then you would have to give me a month's notice. Like, that's just basic dignity at this point. Basic. Normies agree that this is basic dignity. Hi, welcome, Joshua Pym from YouTube. Holy crap. Wow, what's up? Did you just come over here for the first time? Dude Snap says the main critique I have is the hierarchy part, but that's only because of the way people usually frame/portray it. Maslow himself said that every need is as important as the other. The only reason it's a hierarchy is because some are necessary before others can be realized. Yeah. So let's just say that like someone's like, well, you need to empathize with the other person in that situation that I was just describing. In the one I was just describing, I'd been empathizing and making excuses for that person for a couple of months. Because, you know, they have to work. They have a lot going on. When they get off work, they need their space. They need to be able to, you know, relax, you know. So I've always made sure to, like, steer clear, let them do their thing, you know, because they were always kind of moody about these things. And it's like, keep a wide berth. Oh, absolutely. When you're telling me to practice empathy when I'm the one who's being rendered homeless, I don't think that we can have a conversation about respect. When you have a person of privilege, which is always relative, but the person with the relative privilege in a situation fucking getting all scoldy to somebody who has fundamental needs that are not met at a material level, and the person only cares about fucking woke signaling rhetoric bullshit, and it's always one of these people who acts like Warren and Bernie are on the same fucking level. It's always one of these people. Oh, they're the same thing. I don't know what to do. But I'm gonna play a video about this. It's Time Energy Part 2. You don't have to see Part 1. It doesn't matter. But it's relevant, and I need to take a break because I don't like how derailed I am by this shit. I don't like how shook I am. And I also don't want to stop streaming. I just want to play Minecraft. At least for a half hour. Okay? So I'm going to like step away and then come back to play Minecraft. And I'm still going to engage the chat. This has been a good conversation day. I just need to... And also, like, this is... The fact is like, I was better at articulating exactly what I'm trying to talk about right now in this video than what I could do right now. Yeah, switching gears is kind of just what I need to do. Because the fact is like... It's kind of like... We interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast for an important message. It's like kind of like... it's kind of how I feel right now. It's like that I need to just change gears because I wanted to keep on going with life the way I'd planned it even 2 days ago, but I can't. I had just finished moving the day that my platform was terminated without warning or recourse from YouTube. And that moving was after 2.5 agonizing months of trying to figure out what I was doing and where I was going. And I was supposed to finally have something stable. When I moved to the place where I was for 2.5 months trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing, I was told that I would be good for a year there. Upon arrival, I found out that I would not be good for a year there. That actually I only had a month. Upon arrival, after 2 months of planning. And they're just kind of like, well, sorry, you know, that's just the way life is. It's rough out here. Attitude. Yeah, shit's rough. Yeah, well, when you make it rough, rougher than it needs to be, sure. So then they pull the platform out from under my feet as soon as I get here. So then I focus on YouTube. Free the plebe. And then this place. Same shit. Pull out from under it. It's like, I'm just like, kind of over it, y'all. But what does that mean? You don't get to choose, you know what I mean? So let's see, what is the 15th? Yeah. What time is it? So it's 5:12. Let's go ahead and have this start like right now. I'm gonna see if I can premiere this. I've messed with YouTube a little bit to try to see if I can premiere videos when I want to, if they were already unlisted. And it's not always successful. Let's go ahead and start this right now. Will this work? All right, cool. I'm gonna go get my shit figured out really quick.
Hey, I'm holding an event for the DSA, and then, all right, see you later. Hey, would you like to come to a DSA event at 2 o'clock?
I want to talk about time energy as the basis of value in terms of making promises.
Free the lead.